I'm going to be completely honest with you. Learning world history sucks. Especially during my sophomore year, is the equivalent of living in hell. Some days I yearn for a better way to learn history. The same way there's a better way to learn science. Bill Nye the Science Guy comes to mind for me since his episodes are fast-paced and very witty. But it wasn't until my freshman year where I got introduced to a musical that would help me learn world history or US history while still being fun and engaging. That musical being
Alexander Hamilton.
What's going on, Makeup Troop? It's your boy. Today we're going to be taking a small look at the Hamilton musical and my personal experience with it. I just wanted to make this video to appreciate it because it made history fun for me, and for many other people by the look of it. I want to go over some of the historical inaccuracies, the historical accuracies, and my experience, and trauma, with it. We'll get to the trauma later. So sit back, relax, join me as I go through this musical, starting with Hamilton's anti-slavery position is exaggerated in this. While in the musical, Hamilton is portrayed as strongly anti-slavery, in the historical position, he voiced opposition to slavery at times, though he did own slaves, possibly through his in-laws, and didn't make abolition a central part of his politics. Angelica's romantic tension is entirely fictional, where in the musical, Angelica has a clear romantic chemistry with Hamilton and says she had to marry a rich guy instead. In history, Angelica was already married when she met Hamilton. They were friendly to each other and exchanged witty letters, but there was no solid evidence of romantic involvement. The duel with Aaron Burr, sir, was more complicated. In the musical, Burr shoots Hamilton out of rage and ambition, while in history, the duel was a result of a long, complex rivalry and political tensions. Hamilton may have deliberately thrown away his shot, he aimed up high, but his motives were debated at the time. Jefferson's timeline was compressed. While in the musical, Jefferson arrives dramatically in Act 2 after being in Paris for so long. In history, he returned from France in 1789, well before any of the events depicted after his return in the show. Hamilton's immigrant status is overemphasized. While in the musical, he's called the $10 founding father without a father and constantly highlighted as an outsider. In history, Hamilton was born in the Caribbean, but many founders weren't born in what became the US, and it became deeply enriched in elite American society quickly. Eliza's role in founding the orphanage is romanticized. While in the musical, Eliza sings about how she put herself back in the narrative by founding New York's first private orphanage. In reality, she did co-found the orphanage and remained involved for decades, but it wasn't as solitary or symbolically redemptive as the musical suggests. Hamilton's relationship with Washington is idealized. While in the musical, they're shown as loyal allies, with Hamilton serving as Washington's right-hand man throughout everything. In history, the relationship was strained at times. Hamilton resigned from Washington's staff after a dispute, and they had professional tensions, though they did reconcile. And finally, the Reynolds affair is sanitized, where in the musical, Hamilton frames the affair as an act of personal weakness he owned up to, while in history, Hamilton publicly published the Reynolds pamphlet admitting the affair, but it was much political damage control as it was a confession, and the situation was even messier than portrayed. In the musical, Hamilton admits to have an affair with Maria Reynolds and claims he paid her husband to keep it quiet, while in reality, James Reynolds extorted Hamilton repeatedly for hush money. Hamilton continued the affair even while paying the bribes. This made Hamilton vulnerable to ongoing manipulation, not just a one-time mistake. To prove he wasn't corrupt, Hamilton publicly confessed to the affair in a 95-page pamphlet in 1797. This shocked the public, not just because of the adultery, but because he dragged Maria's name through the mud, published her private letters, and seemed to value his redemption over his family's. Hell, even some of his allies thought it was overkill, and this is sort of portrayed in the musical where they find out about the whole Reynolds affair. And also too, the musical paints her as a temptress. While of course, the musical did say that her husband was abusing her, historians might have found out that Maria might have been coerced and or abused by her husband, who possibly forced her into the affair as part of the blackmail scheme. Some evidence suggests that she was not a willing participant and tried to break things off a few times, but Hamilton's political career never recovered, and he was already out of public office, but the scandal ensured he would never be president. Hamilton wrote his way out. When Hamilton said that he wrote his way out of Hamilton's rise was shown as powered by his writing. This is in fact 100% true. His essay about a hurricane into the Caribbean got him noticed, funded, and sent him to New York to study. He was a brilliant writer and a workaholic. And the musical, Hamilton's non-stop energy is a major theme. There's even a song about it around, I think, the final part of the Act 1. And in fact, yes, he did write most of the Federalist Papers, the 51 out of 85, and worked constantly. He had a huge role in building America's financial system, including introducing the banks. Hamilton fought in the Revolutionary War. In the musical, Hamilton serves under George Washington and longs for a command. And in fact, this is totally accurate. He was Washington's aide, fought in key battles, and led a charge at Yorktown. Gun dueling was a real and very deadly thing. In the musical, several characters challenge each other to duels, and famously, Hamilton and Burr, sir. And in fact, dueling was common among politicians and upper-class men. The Burr-Hamilton duel happened almost exactly as portrayed. There was room in the world for both Hamilton and Burr. Hamilton was central to the Constitution and Treasury. In the musical, it's shown as he was a key Federalist and financial architect, while in fact, it was spot on. Hamilton pushed hard and for a strong central government and was the first Secretary of the Treasury, creating the National Bank and public credit system. Hamilton's family life was complicated. In the musical, his relationship with Eliza is central, and the affair deeply damages it. And in fact, this is accurate. The Reynolds affair devastated Eliza, and Hamilton's extensive work created strain. Eliza burned many letters after his death, just like in the show. The political rivalries were intense. In the musical, the tension shown between Hamilton, Jefferson, and Burr drives the story. And in fact, this is very true. The conflict shaped early American politics. Hamilton and Jefferson were ideological enemies, and Burr's rivalry with Hamilton ended in tragedy. Of course, leading to the duel. Immigrants, we get the job done. The musical celebrates Hamilton as an immigrant, and in fact he was born in the Caribbean, and many founders weren't native-born. Immigrants played key roles in the Revolution and early Republic. Washington stepping down was groundbreaking. In the musical, his farewell is treated as a moment of national transition, and in fact, this is true and then some. Washington willingly leaving power shocked the world and set an example for peaceful transitions of leadership. And finally, the Reynolds pamphlet was real and career suicide. In the musical, Hamilton publishes a full public confession, and in fact, this is true. A 95-page document confessing his affair, thinking it would help clear his name politically. It didn't in the long run. That was kind of stupid, honestly, Hamilton. Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that? Overall, I feel like this musical is definitely the golden standard of all other musicals. It has a lot of heart and soul put into it, and I could tell Lin put his ass into making this sound good. But the main reason why I wanted to make this video in the first place is due to some trauma that I received from it. Okay, it's not really trauma, but it's still pretty fucked. So, it all happened back in middle school, where all bad things begin. I wasn't necessarily in the room where it happened, but I overheard a conversation of it happening. I'm gonna keep this kid's name anonymous, so we'll just call him Joe for now. So apparently, when the class was watching Hamilton, Joe thought it was a brilliant idea to tenderize meat during the class, I'll put it lightly. He quite literally was gooning, as if he was running out of time. But in the end, he didn't get suspended or expelled. I'm still shocked about it to this day. And when I watched it with Baja Radio, we constantly made jokes about it. So somehow he's watching this video, then I just want to ask him if he's satisfied. Gotta hope you're satisfied. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to go over in this video. I know it wasn't too long, but I wanted to make this short little video to show my appreciation for this musical. I guess this video can kind of be classified as one of those 60-second shorts that I make, but just longer. But hey, let me know what you think about the musical in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions about it. Anyway, subscribe, and bazinga, as always.
What if I can prove that I never touched my balls? Will you promise not to tell another soul what you saw? No one else was in the room where it happened. Is that a yes? You just touched your ball.